All right. So not only can we find missing sides with the theorem, but we can use the theorem to kind of backtrack. We can check to see if three sides make up a right triangle. If they don't, we can also use it to see if the triangle would be obtuse or acute then. So that's what we're going to talk about in this part. So the converse basically says if c squared equals a squared plus b squared, if what we plug in makes that true, then the measures make up a right triangle. Okay. So if we have something that appears to be a right triangle, but you don't have that information, we don't have the angle measure, and you know you never assume something's a right angle without being told, you can verify by taking those three measures and plugging them in accordingly to the theorem. So remember, we said we were using c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So the important part of this is that c is put in the correct spot. So which of these would be c? 85. So you're basically going to test this and say 85 squared hopefully equals 13 squared plus 84 squared. So it's just a matter of showing those calculations to show that you're just plugging in. So 85 squared is 7225. 13 squared is 169. And 84 squared is 7,056. So if you add those two, we get 7225 equals 7225. So the question is this really a right triangle? And the answer is yes, it is a right triangle because it fits in the Pythagorean Theorem. Okay. Again, sometimes you won't have a drawing. They might just give you three side lengths and ask you, is this a right triangle? Okay. In that case, you're going to take the longest one, separate it from the others. So we're going to say 50 squared equals 16 squared plus 48 squared. So we have 2,500 equals 256 plus 2,304. So we get 2,500 equals 2,560. That's no good. So this is not a right triangle. All right, so if it's not a right triangle, then that only leaves the possibility of it being acute or obtuse. Okay, acute meaning all three angles are less than 90. Obtuse meaning one of them is greater than 90. Or well, yeah, you have one obtuse, right? So there are a couple other theorems that get at this, but basically you're going to do the same thing. You're going to set it up the same way, but instead of putting an equal sign in, we're going to do a comparison of c squared to the sum of the other two, okay? Because remember, we talked about c is across from the right angle, yes? Well, what if that right angle were bigger? What would happen to c? If I opened up that right angle wider, c is going to have to be longer, right? So that obtuse angle, which is greater than 90, is going to mean that c squared is probably going to be bigger than the other two. But if I closed up the right angle so it was less than 90, c squared is going to be probably smaller than a squared plus b squared. Okay, that's why you're going to start with c. It makes it easier to do that comparison. So here's how we're going to use it. Well, I'll first write this down. If c squared is greater than a squared plus b squared, then the triangle is obtuse. And if c squared is less than a squared plus b squared, then the triangle is acute. So not only can we use the theorem to tell whether it's a right triangle or not, we also can figure out if it's acute or obtuse, if it's not right. So if we have side lengths 6, 11, and 14, you're not going to put in a symbol yet, but we're going to set it up c squared and a squared plus b squared. Because we're going to do a comparison. Okay. The most important part, again, is picking out c. So which one is supposed to be c? 14. So we're going to do 14 squared, and we're going to compare it to 6 squared plus 11 squared. So we have 196, and we have 36 plus 121. So 196 compared to 157, okay, 196 is greater than 157. So what kind of triangle would this be? It should be obtuse. Okay. We're also going to try it with 7, 8, and 9. So actually, you guys take a second and try 7, 8, and 9. What should come first? So we're going to do 9 squared, and we're going to compare to 7 squared plus 8 squared. So that would be 81, and 49 plus 64. So 81 and 113. 81 is less. So this triangle should be acute.